Welcome to InformOverload, the show where we take the top trending topics on the internet and then make them more entertaining. I'm your host Johnny Rogers. To never miss another exciting video, click that subscribe button and ring the bell to join our notification squad. Charlotte brought us the part 1 of this series and has tasked me with bringing you the long-awaited part 2. Before we get started though, let us know down in the comments what your favorite scary movie is, and while you do that, let's jump right into the top 10 scary movies inspired by true stories. Part 2. In at number 10, The Conjuring. This supernatural horror film directed by James Wan was the very beginning of what they called the Conjuring universe. You see, Ed and Lorraine Warren were real-life paranormal investigators, and this universe sort of follows their real-life terrifying encounters throughout their career. One of their most famous cases was at a farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. A husband and his wife, along with their 5 daughters, began to notice very strange things not too long after they moved in. It started with small objects appearing in different parts of the home to small piles of dirt just randomly in the middle of the floor. However, it wasn't long before things got far beyond their control. Allegedly, the home had previously been owned by the same family for 8 generations. Upon further research, investigators discovered that several children had drowned in a nearby creek, along with other children hanging themselves in the attic. So there was certainly a ton of tortured ghosts still trying to haunt anyone that took ownership of a home that was once their own. In at number 9, Annabelle. Let's face it, nobody is fearless when it comes down to a doll that's possessed. The very thought that an inanimate object could come to life is terrifying all on its own. Little did people know while watching this 2014 supernatural film that it was all based on a true story. Although the movie version of the doll was dramatically different from the real-life Raggedy Ann doll, the story remains the same. After being purchased in 1970 at a hobby shop by a mother as a gift for her daughter, Annabelle's brutal attacks began. It wasn't so much the doll itself committing these horrific acts, but the spirit that was infused within it. The most famous case of an Annabelle attack was when a young man and his girlfriend were visiting the doll's enclosure in a museum. They were seen banging on the glass and mocking the doll before being kicked out. Shortly thereafter, the man lost control of his motorcycle and crashed it into a tree head-on. In at number 8, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. That's right, IO fans, I saw your comments saying, what about The Exorcism of Emily Rose? And you were 100% right. I had to include it in this list. In the film, a 19-year-old teen named Emily Rose dies after self-inflicted wounds after an exorcism was performed on her. The priest who performed the exorcism ends up being arrested and charged, so the movie mainly follows that plus a few flashbacks of Emily's life. In real life, the teen's name was Anneliese Michel, a German woman who had been diagnosed with epileptic psychosis, leading to a lot of psychiatric treatment for her random seizures. Over time, Anneliese became obsessed with the idea that she was actually possessed by a demon. Although her cause of death was believed to be from the exorcism, it was actually starvation combined with dehydration. Regardless, her parents and the Catholic priest were all found guilty of negligent homicide. In at number 7, Blackwater. This 2007 horror film was meant to do for crocodiles what Jaws did for the great white shark. It's an Australian tale inspired from the real-life attacks that were happening in the outback. For the movie, we see a group of friends taking a ride out on a fishing boat when a giant crocodile attacks them from out of nowhere. Its true story counterpart is similar in that the crocodile did come out of nowhere in an area that many have said they don't go. Back in 2003, a group of friends decided to race their quad bikes near the Kangaroo Flats. Thanks to monsoon rains though, the area was quickly transformed into the perfect spot for a croc. A crocodile then attacked a man in their group, causing the other friends to run up a tree and wait until help arrived, while the crocodile was just kind of circling underneath them. Terrifying. In at number 6, Poltergeist. This 1982 supernatural horror film was set in a California suburb and focused in on a family that was being tormented by ghosts in their own home. Although the true events that inspired such a highly acclaimed scary movie actually took place in 1958 in Seaford, New York. The Herman family became known around the world after claiming to have experienced poltergeist activity in their house. The family reported that while staying in the home, they witnessed small pieces of furniture and even her brother's globe that began flying around the house. What's even crazier was that these ghostly encounters all took place in a home that was only 5 to 7 miles from the famous house in Amityville. Coincidence? I think not. In at number 5, The Disappointments Room. This 2016 psychological horror film was first inspired by an HGTV episode from a segment called If Walls Could Talk. It didn't do so hot in the box office though, it only made $5 million, yet it spent close to $15 million. I mean, how disappointing. Aside from the film's commercial failure, it was actually based on a true story. The whole premise of the movie is that this female architect buys a home and discovers a secret room in the attic. The real story is very similar and involves a woman from Rhode Island that finds this separated room on the 3rd floor of her house. The room wasn't locked, but surprisingly there was a deadbolt on the outside of the door. To make things even creepier, the woman also discovered that the flooring in the room was made of metal. After doing some research, she discovers that the judge had built the 19th century home and he would lock his disabled daughter in the secret room. This is a perfect example of a movie just not doing justice to the actual story. In at number 4, The Possession. This scary movie centers around a family that purchases this old wooden box with Hebrew letters engraved on it from a yard sale. The family is fascinated by it because they also can't seem to open the box. One night his daughter starts to hear whispering coming from the box and she tries to open it again and actually manages to pop the lid off this time. Inside of the box was a tooth, a dead moth, a wooden figurine, and a ring that she then starts to wear. Later we discover that what she actually released was an evil spirit called Debuk. Debuk is a malevolent wandering spirit that enters and possesses the body of a living person until exorcised. The history of this spirit can actually be found in the Torah, and the box itself was a real item that was brought to America from a survivor of the Holocaust. People on set didn't even want to be near it, and shortly after filming the movie, a strange series of events started happening. A neon light exploded randomly next to the screenwriter, and 5 days after wrapping, the building that was the storage house for props mysteriously burned to the ground.
It is a real thing in the Torah that it speaks about different types of demons that can attach themselves to a person.
In at number 3, Winchester. Starring Helen Mirren, the side-by-side of her and the actual woman the movie is based on is absolutely stunning. It follows the life of a woman named Sarah Winchester, the widow of a famous weapons manufacturer. Due to the death of her husband and her daughter before that, Sarah suddenly had a $20 million inheritance, but also felt cursed by the ghosts of those who had died at the hands of what her husband had created. She begins constructing this massive home in California where the reclusive heir would live out most of her life. The real-life Sarah was thought to be insane as she would constantly draw up new renovations and expansions for the Victorian mansion that she said were all directed by these evil spirits. And before Houdini ever became a famous magician, he focused on debunking fake spiritualists and mediums. When he heard about this woman named Sarah Winchester, he had to visit her home. Even the great Houdini himself could not shake the sense that something inside the home was wrong. He then dubbed the building the Winchester Mystery House. In at number 2, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. This American slasher film was released back in 1976 and was loosely based on the Texarkana Moonlight murders. These murders took place throughout 1946 in Texarkana, Texas, although the movie decided to place them in Arkansas just because it was kind of close to the border there. Regardless, the film's portrayal of a mysterious mass serial killer was very real. This man, who was named by the Texarkana Gazette as the Phantom Killer, would go on random crime sprees, attacking 8 people and killing 5 all in the dead of night. Due to the fact that the killer was never found, the advertising team for this movie took artistic license when they released the film. The film's tagline was, "And he still lurks the streets of Texarkana." This caused a lot of uproar in the local community, especially considering that some of the victims' families were still alive. It also angered the police in that area, who now had a movie discrediting their work in trying to track down this killer. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, The Sacrament. This 2013 found footage thriller film follows these Vids journalists who document a co-worker's attempt to track down her sister after she joins a religious commune. Although set in a more present day time, its plot was inspired by the real life events of the Jonestown Massacre in 1978. It highlights how extreme ideologies and a charismatic leader can lead people into doing the unthinkable. Jim Jones called his cult the People's Temple, and on the settlement in Guyana where he led his followers, Jones would go on to commit the largest mass suicide in history, killing more than 900 of his followers by giving them this Kool-Aid laced with rat poison. On that uplifting note, let's brighten up your day by reading some of your comments from the video titled Top 10 Shocking Real-Life Crimes That Became Movies. Evidence Smith says, "I wish there could be movies that doesn't exaggerate anything, because when I watch a good movie, I want everything I watch to be real. It makes it more interesting. Love IO." I like the tag at the end there. We couldn't agree more, especially when it comes to stories that have an actual recorded history. It's like, come on, stop lying to me. Valair says, and I hope this is a joke, "Me being born was a crime and uncalled for. Where's my movie?" You being born wasn't a crime, it was a gift. Congrats, you made it out of the millions of other people that were gunning for that spot. Be thankful for that. Valkyrie Gunzilla says, "Johnny, you're back, yay!" I think Jared also read this comment, so, you know, I'm happy that you're happy to see me, and I'm glad that at least someone is happy to have me back. Jared was mad. He was mad at that comment. I See London says, "Hi, do you guys sell coffee? Because I like coffee." We don't, but that would pair well with our anxiety-inducing videos. Thank you for the idea. Saw Good Man says, hey IO, one request. My B-Day is December 25th, and since I never get to do a thing because everything is closed, can you shout me out on that day? Just thought I'd ask now in hopes you'll see it and consider it before Christmas, my birthday. I don't think this video will come out near your birthday, but I certainly did not want to miss it. So happy birthday to you, and I hope you have a great day. Maybe you could just replay this video on your birthday. And that has been the top 10 scary movies inspired by true stories part 2. Thank you for watching Inform Overload, and if you enjoyed this video, then show us some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, as always, if you find any cool stories that you want us to cover, make sure you send the link in a DM to our Instagram page at InformOverload, and if we like it, you may just see your story on our channel. Plus, leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on this list, and for more videos like this one, just click that playlist on the side of the screen. From IO, my name is Johnny Rogers. Until next time, take care.